You know that feeling, right?
Yeah.
You've finally decided, okay, this is the time. Time to get the money situation sorted. So you download that shiny new budgeting app, maybe, or you find that spreadsheet template you saved ages ago.
Yeah, the moment of truth.
Exactly. You bravely open it up. You're ready to face the numbers. And then, well, maybe it's a few days later, maybe a couple of weeks, you just hit it. The wall.
That wall.
Yeah, you're staring at these figures, just feeling completely, utterly overwhelmed, frustrated. And you start seriously thinking, is this budgeting thing even, like, worth it?
Motivation just evaporates.
Gone. Vanished. You feel stuck. Maybe you feel like a failure financially or just lazy, But what if it's not really about being bad with money or lacking willpower? What if it's, well, something real, a phenomenon? Budgeting burnout.
It absolutely is. It's a genuine type of exhaustion, and believe me, it goes way beyond just the numbers on a screen. It's actually deeply tied into our overall mental, even physical well-being.
And that connection, that deeper thing, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've looked at the sources you shared, and it's a really fascinating mix, isn't it? Articles from financial experts, research looking at that link between money stress and mental health, and even just raw, honest experiences people shared online.
Yeah, that real-world stuff is powerful.
It really is. So this deep dive, it's all about unpacking this budgeting burnout. We want to explore the roots, the why behind hitting that financial wall, and maybe more importantly, uncover some practical expert-backed ways to help you not just get back on track, but actually stay motivated.
And make budgeting work for you, not against you.
Exactly. Make it a tool. So yeah, we're looking at the challenges, those hidden connections, and maybe some surprisingly simple strategies that could genuinely make a huge difference. So let's start there. With hitting the wall, it sounds like it's just incredibly common. You start off, best intentions, right? Maybe you're stressed about money. Budgeting seems like the logical step.
It does. It seems like the solution.
But then reality bites. The constant tracking, making tough calls about where money actually goes versus, where you wish it went, and just the sheer mental energy it takes to always be on it.
It is extraordinarily common, and the sources we're drawing on, they really highlight the struggle. Starting out is overwhelming. There was one person on Reddit who really nailed it. They said, look, it's not easy.
Right.
It takes real time, real effort, way more than just, 10 minutes a week, like some people think. They talked about having to, meticulously check every single transaction, verify payments, track income, track expenses, calculate balances. I mean, it's detailed, it's time consuming, especially when you're just building that habit.
Yeah, it's not just set it and forget it, is it? It's an ongoing thing.
Exactly, an ongoing discipline. And that same person on Reddit used a brilliant analogy. They compared it to starting a new workout routine.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah. The first few times you go to the gym, or maybe you go for a run if you haven't in a while, going to feel sore, right? Things feel awkward, maybe a bit clumsy. It feels hard, maybe even frustrating.
Definitely felt that before.
We all have. But they pointed out, just like with exercise, if you stick with it, if you stay consistent, it actually does get easier over time. Your financial muscles get stronger.
That really clicks. You got to push through that initial kind of discomfort and maybe feeling a bit foolish.
And crucially, give yourself massive credit just for starting, just for trying. As one commenter put it so well, echoing Gretzky, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Ah, true.
So just by trying to budget, you're already taking shots most people never even attempt. That itself, that's progress, worth acknowledging.
Okay, so it's common. It takes effort like building muscle.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the challenge goes deeper than just the mechanics, the adding and subtracting. This budgeting burnout, it seems really tangled up with wider burnout, mental, physical exhaustion.
Absolutely. And the Lending Club source makes this connection incredibly clear. They really stress that financial stress isn't separate from the rest of life. It's deeply woven into our overall mental and physical health.
It all affects each other.
Totally. They define burnout itself as, a state of physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion. And it's primarily caused by excessive stress, excessive tension, often coming from just feeling overloaded or putting in intense effort for too long.
And that kind of intense exhaustion, it feels like it's everywhere now, not just stuck in the office anymore.
Precisely. And the current climate, especially, post-pandemic, throws up this unique mix of challenges that really feeds into this widespread fatigue. I mean, think about the ongoing economic uncertainty.
Yeah, it's constant.
It is. Anxiety about inflation just eating away at your paycheck. Fears about a possible recession always seeming to loom. Worries about job security with tech changing so fast. Even things like AI potentially disrupting whole industries. These are huge external pressures that just ramp up the stress we already feel about our own money.
And it's not just the economy, is it? The whole world just feels heavy sometimes.
That's a really good way to put it. Heavy, yeah.
Yeah.
Broader socio-political stuff, conflicts, violence, the deep political divides, and that constant, often negative news cycle just flooding our phones and screens.
It's exhausting.
It is. It all contributes to this pervasive mental fatigue, this constant low-level or sometimes high-level stress just drains our thinking ability, our emotional reserves, and inevitably that spills over. It directly hits our financial behavior, our ability to manage money well. The Lending Club article, it paints a stark picture, saying for many adults, stress levels are so high they feel like they just can't function properly most days.
Wow.
Yeah. And add to that, a lot of those financial safety nets from the pandemic, the extra unemployment help, eviction protections, they've mostly expired. So people feel more exposed, more financially vulnerable, which just layers on even more stress.
Okay, so it really sounds like this budgeting burnout isn't just about, struggling with the math or the apps. It's this collision course, isn't it? Personal money challenges, hitting this wall of broader economic anxiety, and all of it getting filtered through a brain that's already tired from, well, everything else.
Exactly. It makes perfect sense why people would feel utterly burned out just by the thought of budgeting, let alone doing it.
So what are some of the tangible signs, the specific behaviors we should maybe watch out for in ourselves or others that signal this deeper mental burnout is showing up as financial burnout?
Well, the Lending Club source is really helpful here. They list several specific financial behaviors that act like warning signs. Red flags, if you will. One of those common. Emotional spending.
Ah, yes. Retail therapy.
Exactly. Basically using shopping, buying stuff as a way to cope, to deal with difficult feelings, stress, anxiety. It gives you that temporary little high, right? A distraction.
For a minute, yeah.
But it's super short-lived. And the underlying stress, it often gets worse when the credit card bill lands or you check your bank balance. So now you've got financial strain on top of the emotional stuff.
I think we've all been tempted by that one at some point, that quick fix.
Absolutely. Another big sign is what they call convenience spending. So when you're totally burned out from work, family stuff, just life, your ability to make the financially best choice just plummets.
You still have the energy.
Exactly. So you end up opting for expensive conveniences just out of sheer exhaustion. Ordering takeout every single night because you're too tired to cook. Paying premium fees for grocery delivery because you can't face the supermarket. Grabbing expensive coffees and snacks multiple times a day while you're out.
Those little things add up so fast.
Incredibly fast. They seem small one by one, but they accumulate and can blow your spending way past what a budget would normally allow.
That totally tracks. You're just too depleted to make the choice that takes more effort, even if it saves money.
Precisely. And burnout can also hit your income directly through poor work performance. Think about it. When your motivation, your concentration, your productivity just tanks because you're exhausted, mentally and physically.
Yeah, your job could be at risk.
It could jeopardize your job security, definitely, or hinder chances for promotion, raises, ultimately threatening your main income source.
Which, oh God, creates this awful feedback loop, right? Because then you have more financial stress piled on top of the burnout that caused the problem.
Exactly right. Back into that vicious cycle. You might also find yourself neglecting financial responsibilities.
Like what?
Well, avoiding important, sometimes kind of complicated tasks. Things like actually reviewing your retirement account statements. You might miss chances to adjust things. Or procrastinating on filing taxes, which can sadly lead to hefty penalties and interest later on.
Oh, taxes.
Yeah. It's a form of avoidance, really, because the mental energy needed to tackle those things just feels completely unavailable.
It's like putting your head in the fan because dealing with it feels just overwhelming in that moment.
Yes, that feeling of, I just can't face it right now. And when that stress really puts a squeeze on your finances, you might see an increased dependence on credit. Meaning relying more heavily on personal loans, maybe borrowing from friends or family, which can get awkward, or using high-interest credit cards for just daily essentials. Not planned purchases, but just getting by.
That sounds risky.
It is. And someone on Reddit shared a really tough, real example of turning to those cash advance apps like TapCheck, Dave, Empower, They seem like instant help in a pinch, right?
Yeah, they market themselves that way.
But the way they structure the repayment, often taking it directly from your next paycheck, can make them incredibly hard to break free from. You end up perpetually short before payday, just stuck in this cycle of being behind.
Wow, that sounds like a really stressful trap. A temporary fix that becomes a permanent problem.
They absolutely can be. And that leads directly into another critical warning sign: late or missed payments. When your whole financial system is under stress, bills get forgotten, or maybe deliberately ignored.
Because you just can't pay them.
Or you can't face dealing with them. And the result: expensive late fees piling up, credit card balances exploding because of the interest, and eventually a severely damaged credit score, which makes everything harder financially down the road.
Money problems can also cause huge issues in relationships, can't they? That's another sign.
Without a doubt. Frequent, really intense arguments with your partner or maybe family members, specifically about money, that's often a very painful sign that underlying financial stress is seriously impacting those relationships. Money becomes the battlefield for all these unspoken anxieties and pressures.
Yeah, I can see that. And what about looking ahead? Planning for the future? What happens to that when you're burned out?
Well, when you're mentally and emotionally running on fumes, focusing on anything beyond right now becomes incredibly difficult. So not planning for the future is a major red flag. The mere thought of creating a detailed budget, consistently saving for an emergency fund, or even thinking about big long-term goals like retirement or buying a home, it just feels overwhelming, too distant, too hard to even consider when you're struggling with today's stress.
That makes total sense. When you're just trying to keep your head above water financially right now, planning decades ahead feels impossible, almost absurd.
It really does. And this idea links directly to financial anxiety, which a Psychology Today article really flags as a common and significant issue. It crops up especially when the financial demands on us feel like they chronically outweigh the resources we have available.
There's just never enough.
Exactly. And that anxiety often shows up specifically as avoiding important money tasks and procrastination.
Procrastination. Yeah, that's the killer for financial progress, isn't it? Putting things off just makes the hole deeper.
It really, really is. And Psychology Today brings up a concept related to this avoidance and the need for instant relief. They call it doom spending.
Doom spending? That sounds ominous.
It kind of is. It's buying things specifically for that temporary present moment relief from anxiety or stress. But as you'd guess, it almost always makes the existing stress and debt worse. It creates this vicious cycle, grabbing the credit card, buying something you don't really need. It might feel good for a split second, a distraction from the dread, but it actively damages your financial situation and ramps up future stress.
Okay, so summing that all up, the core issue is that budgeting, instead of feeling like this empowering thing, this tool for control and freedom, it ends up feeling like a draining chore, like deprivation. Just another heavy burden in a life that already feels too heavy.
Precisely. And recognizing that perception, understanding that's how it feels, and then actively working to shift it, that's absolutely fundamental to overcoming this burnout.
Okay, wow. We've really unpacked the why behind budgeting getting so tough and all the ways burnout can mess with our money. So let's shift gears. Let's get practical. How do the sources say we should actually tackle the budget itself? Not just starting it, but genuinely staying on track when it feels like such an uphill battle.
Right, the how. Well, the very first step, and this comes through really strongly from several sources, is a crucial shift in your mindset. You have to consciously move away from seeing budgeting as like punishment or restriction.
Which is easy to do.
So easy. And instead, see it as a fundamental tool for taking control. It's about you being the one to decide, to prioritize where your hard-earned money goes.
Putting yourself back in the driver's seat of your own finances.
Exactly. Sources like Ramsey Solutions and a lot of the discussion on Reddit frame it exactly like that. It actually brings a sense of freedom. It significantly cuts down anxiety because you're actively choosing your financial path instead of feeling like money just sort of happens to you.
Yeah, taking back control.
And remember that workout analogy. It's vital here too. It's about progress over time, not perfection from day one. Be patient with yourself. It takes practice.
Okay, mindset shift. Attempting initiation. So practically, boots on the ground, where do you actually begin?
The absolute non-negotiable starting point, mentioned again and again, is simply knowing where your money is actually going right now. This means tracking your expenses carefully. before you even try to set strict budget limits or create categories.
Wait, track first. Why not just jump into making the plan? Isn't that the point?
Because tracking first gives you the essential data to build a realistic plan. Someone on Reddit shared a great example. They honestly didn't think they were spending much on little things, snacks, coffee from the gas station.
Too small stuff.
Yeah, but when they actually tracked everything, they were shocked. They discovered these little things added up incredibly fast and were totally eating into money they thought they had for other things, like going out to eat. Tracking shows you your real spending habits, often uncovering surprising places where money is just leaking away without you noticing.
That makes so much sense. You might think you know, but the actual data tells the real story.
It really does. It exposes those hidden leaks. Now, in terms of how to track, you can start super simple. Just carefully reviewing your debit and credit card statements each month, that's a form of tracking.
Okay.
You can download your transaction data from your bank, maybe put it into a spreadsheet. You could even build your own spreadsheet with formulas, like one Redditor described doing, so it automatically adds things up by category. Or you can use one of the many budgeting apps out there. Sources like Reddit mention tools like Mint, Emma, Daily Budget, Today's Budget. They can automate a lot of the tracking and categorizing for you.
So once you're tracking, you've got all this raw data. How do you make sense of it all?
That's where categorization is key. You got to group your spending into meaningful buckets. A really simple, effective way suggested on Reddit is the 3-bucket method. Needs, wants, and save invest.
Needs, wants, save, invest.
Oh, okay. Lending Club uses slightly different terms, but a similar idea. Essentials versus extras. The main thing is getting a clear picture of how much is going into each type of spending.
Can you break down what typically falls into those buckets? Needs versus wants?
Sure. So needs, or essentials, these are the absolute non-negotiables, things you must pay for to live, your rent or mortgage. Utilities like electricity, water, basic internet. Essential groceries, we're talking food and necessary household stuff, not the gourmet extras. Minimum required debt payments, like for student loans or the minimum on credit cards. And essential transport, gas to get to work, bus fare, that sort of thing.
Got it. The have-to-haves.
Exactly. Then, wants, or extras, that's your discretionary spending. Things that improve your quality of life but aren't, strictly speaking, necessary for survival. This is where dining out fits in, entertainment, movies, concerts, maybe multiple streaming services, non-essential clothes, hobbies, vacations, all that fun stuff.
Nice to haves.
Right. And finally, save invest. This is money you're deliberately putting aside for your future security and growth. So, contributions to your emergency fund, any extra payments you're making towards debt paying more than the minimum, and contributions to retirement accounts like a 401k or an IRA or other investment accounts.
Okay, so track it, categorize it, then what? Look at the big picture.
Exactly. Then you assess your basic financial math. As one Reddit commenter really boiled it down, income minus expenses equals save invest. The fundamental goal, right? The sign of a healthy financial situation where you've got control. It's making that save invest number positive.
Meaning you have money left over after playing for needs and wants.
Precisely. If your expenses, your needs, plus your wants are higher than your income, that save invest number is going to be negative. That tells you you're overspending, probably racking up debt, and some significant changes are needed.
All right, okay. I've tracked. I know where the money's been going. I know my basic financial math, hopefully positive. Now, how do I use all that info to build a plan for where I want it to go?
Okay, next step. Building that realistic spending plan. And the sources really emphasize this doesn't have to be super complicated. Lending Club suggests keeping it simple. Use whatever tools work best for you. Could be old school pen and paper, could be a spreadsheet you build yourself with formulas, or a budgeting app. Ramsey Solutions, for instance, they specifically mention their Every Dollar app, which helps automate the calculations based on your plan.
You know, calling it a spending plan instead of just a budget, that does feel a bit more empowering, less restrictive.
It really does, right? And sources like Building Habits really lean into that language. It shifts the focus from just what you can't spend to where you choose to allocate. Now, to make this plan realistic, go back to that tracking data you collected.
Use the history.
Exactly. Use it to set achievable targets for those variable categories, groceries, gas, eating out. If your tracking shows you've consistently spent, say, $500 a month on groceries, budgeting $200 starting tomorrow, that's probably setting yourself up for failure and frustration. You can aim to reduce spending over time, absolutely, but start the plan based on your actual reality.
Makes sense. Start where you are.
Yeah.
What about fixed costs versus those more flexible expenses? How do you handle those in the plan?
Yeah, good question. The Reddit thread had a really helpful, detailed approach for this. First, list out all your fixed costs. These are the amounts that are pretty much the same each month or very predictable. Rent, loan payments, insurance, maybe your baseline utility costs. And importantly, they suggest including any extra debt payments you plan to make right here as a fixed commitment.
Treat extra debt payments like a bill.
Kind of, yeah. Then, list everything else as discretionary or variable spending. Now, they did note that sometimes getting stable financially requires, and I quote, ruthless determination to cut unnecessary fixed costs, at least for a while, especially if you're aggressively trying to pay down debt.
Ruthless determination.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
like canceling subscriptions you forgot about.
Exactly. Or finding cheaper phone plans, things like that. Maybe just for a season.
Yeah.
And for that discretionary spending, that's where you look at your tracking history, see the trends, and set your planned limits or targets. Once you have your income, your fixed costs, and your planned variable spending all laid out, you can clearly see what's left for saving and investing.
And you can check if it feels balanced.
Right. You can use guidelines like the 50-30-20 rule as a sort of benchmark. NerdWallet and Reddit both mention this. Aiming for roughly 50% of your income on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings or accelerated debt repayment. It's a helpful guidepost to see if your plan is generally aligned with common financial health advice. But remember, it's a target to work towards, not some rigid rule you have to hit perfectly right away or feel bad about.
Okay, so I have the plan. It's realistic, based on my actual spending. How do I actively manage it week by week, month by month? How do I keep that initial momentum going and not just drift off?
Yeah, the execution phase. This is where consistent effort and some smart strategies really pay off.
Yeah.
First, and this is critical, Ramsey Solutions highlights it, you absolutely have to budget for fun.
Budget for fun. What's that?
Seriously, explicitly allocate money in your budget for things you enjoy, even if it's a small amount when you're starting out. This is key to preventing that feeling of deprivation, which, as we said, is a huge trigger for burnout and just ditching the budget entirely.
So don't make it all sacrifice.
Definitely not. Ramsey also talks about the power of sinking funds. Heard of those?
Vaguely. It's like saving up for specific things.
Exactly. It's a method where you save a small amount each month specifically for a larger planned purchase down the line. Maybe it's a new TV, a vacation, car repairs you know are coming, even Christmas gifts. By setting aside money regularly when it's time to buy that thing, the cash is already there. You can enjoy it guilt-free because it was part of your plan all along.
Oh, that's brilliant. So a big planned expense doesn't suddenly blow up your whole month's budget.
Precisely. It turns potential budget busters into planned events. Next, and this is just foundational advice across basically all sources, build that emergency fund.
The safety net.
The crucial safety net. Ramsey, Lending Club, Reddit, they all hammer this home. It's there for those unexpected life curveballs, the sudden car repair, the unexpected medical bill, maybe even a job loss. Having this buffer means you don't have to plunge into debt or completely abandon your budget goals when life inevitably happens.
How much should be in it?
The advice is usually to start small. Maybe aim for $500 or $1,000 initially, just to have something. Then, work towards building it up to cover 3 to 6 months worth of your essential living expenses.
That buffer sounds like it provides peace of mind, not just financial security.
It absolutely does. It removes a massive potential source of stress. Another really powerful strategy, automate for consistency.
Set it and forget it.
Kind of. Building habits and NerdWallet strongly push this. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account straight into your savings account. Into your retirement accounts, especially important if your employer offers a 401k match, that's literally free money, don't leave it on the table. Or even into investment accounts.
And bills too.
Yeah, you can automate bill payments where possible. Just make sure you have the funds there to avoid missing due dates. Automating savings makes it happen without you meeting constant willpower or decision-making. And crucially, it reduces the temptation to spend that money because it's moved out before you really have a chance to miss it or spend it elsewhere.
Out of sight, out of mind. Or at least out of checking account.
Exactly. This psychology. Building habits also mentions dollar cost averaging for investing, which is all about automation investing. A fixed amount regularly means you're not stressing about trying to perfectly time the market, just consistent action.
Okay, automation helps with saving. What about tackling that sneaky impulsive buying or the emotional spending we talked about earlier? How do you control that?
Yeah, that's definitely a tough one, but the sources offer some practical tips. FSB, that's a blog source, suggests a simple 24-hour rule for any non-essential purchase. See something you want, wait 24 hours.
Wait on it.
Basically. If you still genuinely want or need it after a day, then consider buying it. That pause often breaks the spell of impulse. They also recommend unsubscribing from those tempting marketing emails from stores. You know, the ones constantly flashing sales and new arrivals.
Get rid of the temptation.
Reduce it, at least. And look for free or cheaper alternatives for fun. Reddit users had great ideas. Organize a clothing swap with friends instead of hitting the mall. Go for a walk with coffee instead of a pricey spa day. And Psychology Today reminds us to just be mindful. Ask yourself why you're buying something. Is it filling a real need or just a temporary emotional hole? That awareness can help break that doom spending cycle.
Identifying the triggers for that kind of spending seems really key too, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. One Redditor went into fantastic detail about the need to identify and actively avoid your personal spending triggers. This takes some detective work. Ask yourself, where are you when you overspend? When does it happen? How often are you making certain discretionary purchases? Look for patterns.
Like always buying snacks at the checkout.
Could be. Or maybe it's scrolling social media late at night. They shared a really relatable story about grocery shopping. Using a delivery service like Shipt felt convenient, but their bill often shot over $200. When they forced themselves to physically go to the store, even for similar stuff, they usually kept it under $150.
Wow, that's a big difference just from the shopping method.
Right. Identifying that trigger using the app versus going in person and changing the habit required, in their words, ruthless determination and discipline.
That grocery example is perfect. The convenience was costing way more than just the delivery fee.
It adds up in ways you don't expect. And finally, sometimes you just need to remove the temptation physically. A soupy, straightforward tip from Reddit. Literally, take your credit cards out of your wallet, put them somewhere inconvenient, maybe in a drawer labeled emergency only.
Make it harder to impulse buy.
Exactly. And for those tricky variable spending categories, groceries, eating out, fun money, consider trying a cash-only system or the envelope method.
Yeah.
You allocate a certain amount of cash to each envelope at the start of the month. When the cash in the envelope is gone, it's gone. No more spending in that category until next month. It creates a very real physical limit that digital spending just doesn't have.
That sounds intense, but I can see how it would work. A hard stop.
It provides a concrete boundary. So yeah, it's really a multi-pronged attack, isn't it? Understand where the money's going, make a realistic plan for where you want it to go, and then use this mix of practical strategies, automation, and just increased self-awareness to actually stick with it.
Okay, that covers the nuts and bolts, the structure of the budget, and the day-to-day management. But we know budgeting burnout is often about that motivation just fizzling out over time, especially when the big goals feel so far away. So how do we keep that fire lit? How do we build financial resilience that actually lasts for the long haul?
Right. This is about sustaining the effort. And this is where connecting your budget, your daily financial choices to meaningful aspirational goals becomes incredibly powerful. Ramsey's Solutions really hammers this. Budgeting isn't just about saying no. It's actually a positive tool that lets you make big, important things happen in your life.
Things like finally saving that down payment for a house, maybe.
Or
being able to retire comfortably.
exactly those big life-altering goals. And to keep those goals clear and motivating, make them visual. Ramsey suggests really simple but effective tactics. Find pictures that actually represent what you're saving for.
Like a vision board almost.
Sort of, yeah. Maybe it's the photo of the exact car model you're trying to pay off, or a picture of that dream vacation spot, or just an image that symbolizes retirement freedom to you. Put that picture somewhere you'll see it every single day on the fridge, the bathroom mirror, your desk.
A constant reminder.
Yeah, a constant visual reminder of why you're making those smaller, maybe slightly tougher daily choices, like cooking instead of ordering out, or skipping that impulse buy online. It anchors you back to the bigger purpose.
Visuals can be super powerful motivators. But what about those really huge goals? Like paying off a mortgage that takes decades or saving a massive retirement fund. Those can feel impossibly far off.
They absolutely can. They can feel incredibly daunting, almost paralyzing when you just stare at the huge total number. And that's why Ramsey strongly suggests you break down those massive long-term goals into smaller, much more manageable milestones.
Chunk it down.
Exactly. If your goal is, say, pay off a $60,000 mortgage balance, don't just fixate on the $60. Break it down mentally into 6 chunks of $10,000. And here's the key. Every single time you knock off one of those $10,000 chunks, celebrate it. Acknowledge that win.
Give yourself a reward.
It doesn't have to be expensive. Just acknowledge the progress. It provides a series of quicker victories along that very long journey. It makes the whole process feel less overwhelming, and it builds momentum that helps carry you forward to the next milestone.
Celebrating those smaller wins sounds really crucial for keeping your energy up.
It truly is. It gives you tangible proof that you are making progress. Another powerful strategy for those long-term goals, especially saving and investing, circles back to automation, but thinking long-term. Building Habits and Ramsey both mentioned setting up those auto drafts consistently.
We talked about that for short-term consistency, too.
Right, but it's even more critical for long-term goals. Automatically transfer money from checking to retirement accounts, investment accounts, maybe even an account specifically for accelerated debt payments. Like we said, if the money is moved before you really see it or consciously miss it, you're much less likely to spend it. And over years, you'll be genuinely surprised, pleasantly surprised, by how much has accumulated almost effortlessly. Building Habits calls this streamlining your financial routines, making the good behavior the easy path.
Automation really seems like the secret weapon for consistent progress without burning out your willpower.
It absolutely takes decision fatigue out of the equation for saving. Now, let's loop back and really tackle that mental health connection again head on. Because building true financial resilience is just inseparable from managing your overall well-being. The sources give us several proactive strategies here.
So this isn't just about the money rules, it's about nurturing yourself so you actually have the bandwidth, the capacity to follow those rules.
Exactly right. It's about building up your internal resources. The Lending Club source strongly recommends prioritizing self-care. And this means the basics, really. Committing to healthy habits, getting enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, getting regular physical exercise.
The stuff we know we should do.
Yeah, but it directly impacts our ability to handle stress. They also suggest finding activities that genuinely help you relax and recharge. Maybe that's yoga for you, or spending time in nature, or pursuing a calming hobby. These fundamental practices improve your mood, they lower stress, they build mental and emotional resilience. That makes you much better equipped to face financial challenges without just collapsing into burnout.
It's got to be incredibly hard to make rational, long-term money decisions when you're just running on empty, physically and mentally.
Completely agree. They also specifically suggest looking into mindfulness and meditation. These aren't just, fluffy concepts anymore. They're well-researched, proven techniques for reducing stress and anxiety levels. And there are tons of free or low-cost resources, apps, websites, videos, if you want to explore that.
So recharging those mental and emotional batteries is just as vital as tracking your spending.
It's fundamentally linked. And related to that, it's really important to periodically revisit your priorities and set healthy boundaries. Take an honest look at your current work-life balance. Are you overcommitted? Stretched too thin? Can you maybe eliminate some less important obligations or set clearer boundaries?
Like saying no more often.
That could be part of it. Or maybe it's having a conversation with your boss about workload. Or asking your partner or family for more help with chores. Lending Club suggests these kinds of steps can free up precious mental and physical energy you can then channel towards important things, like managing your finances effectively.
And if you're really, really struggling to cope, if self-care isn't enough,
then reaching out for professional help is absolutely vital. The sources strongly encourage asking for help when the burden feels too heavy. Talk openly with trusted friends or family if you can. If the stress and anxiety feel significant, definitely consult your doctor. They can point you towards mental health resources, maybe through your insurance, local community centers, or even teletherapy apps, which are more accessible now.
Okay.
And Psychology Today adds a really crucial point here. Sometimes traditional therapy might not fully get the specific nuances of financial anxiety. It's a unique beast. In those cases, seeking out a financial coach or maybe a therapist who actually specializes in financial psychology could be more effective. They can bridge that gap between mental well-being and financial practicality.
That makes sense. Getting specialized support for a specialized problem.
It does. And here's a simple but honestly remarkably powerful mental strategy from Lending Club. Consciously be a friend to yourself. Well, we are often our own worst critics, right? Especially when we mess up with money. We beat ourselves up. Instead, actively fight that negative self-talk. Talk to yourself with the same kind of positive, supportive, understanding language you'd use if your best friend was going through the exact same thing. Try seeing your challenges through that compassionate lens. It helps you be more objective and way less self-defeating.
Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend. That's powerful.
It really is. Psychology Today offers a few more specific steps, really tied to mindset and tackling that procrastination beast. They suggest starting by declaring a positive intention. This is about actively addressing your underlying beliefs and feelings about money. So state your financial goal out loud every day. Make it positive, affirming, like I am building financial freedom one step at a time, or I am capable of managing my money well. Focus on that intention. Maybe even write down what achieving it would feel like.
Shifting focus to the positive outcome, not just the current struggle.
Yes, exactly that shift. They also emphasize mindful planning and consciously addressing procrastination. Try to be present and fully aware when you're making financial decisions to avoid slipping into autopilot doom spending or just avoidance. If you feel stressed before a big money decision, try some simple relaxation or breathing exercises first. Calm your nervous system.
Pause before you act.
Right. Create prioritized to-do lists with clear deadlines to break down big, scary tasks. And here's a great technique if you feel paralyzed by decisions. Research and list at least 3 viable options before you choose. Having multiple paths forward makes you feel less trapped or overwhelmed by just one choice.
That's a really practical way to break through feeling stuck. Gives you agency back.
It does. Now, beyond these things you can do yourself, seeking expert guidance can be incredibly valuable for support and perspective. Building Habits and Psychology Today both talk about the significant benefit of working with an independent financial professional or a coach. They can offer unbiased advice tailored just for you, help you spot blind spots you didn't know you had, and provide accountability, which is huge.
Someone to help you stay on track.
Exactly. And Your Moneyline points out that a lot of employers are now offering financial wellness programs as part of their benefits. It's worth checking. These programs might include access to financial coaches, personalized planning tools, educational webinars, helpful apps. Definitely see if your workplace offers something like that.
So tap into resources that might already be available through work. Good tip.
Absolutely. Finally, and maybe this is the most realistic piece of advice, Ramsey Solutions offers this crucial insight. Prepare for the inevitable dip.
Meaning burnout might happen again.
It's likely. Budgeting burnout isn't necessarily a one-and-done thing. Seasons where motivation drops or you have setbacks, they're probably going to happen on a long financial journey. The key isn't trying to avoid burnout forever. That might be impossible. The key is to decide now, when you're feeling okay and thinking clearly, what steps you will take when it happens again. Have a plan ready for getting back on track, rather than letting a temporary dip derail you completely and make you abandon your goals.
Like having an emergency plan for the budget's motivation, not just for unexpected expenses.
Exactly like that. Building that long-term financial resilience. It's ultimately about cultivating habits that last. Keep focusing on consistent debt repayment. Understand the methods, maybe the debt snowball, paying off smallest debts first for quick psychological wins, or the debt avalanche, tackling highest interest rates first to save money. Both are good. Choose what motivates you. Be mindful of lifestyle inflation when your income goes up. Don't just let all the extra cash disappear into more spending. Deliberately channel a good chunk of it towards debt reduction, savings, or investments.
Keep building those buffers.
Keep building buffers, keep prioritizing retirement savings, and understand where to keep your money based on goals and timeframes.
Yeah.
Regular savings for short-term needs, maybe high-yield savings, or CDs for medium-term goals, and investment accounts for that long-term growth, like retirement, 401ks, IRAs, etc.
It really sounds like it's a marathon, definitely not a sprint, with inevitable ups and downs.
It absolutely is. And the big theme, really, across all these sources, patience and consistency. It's about those small, steady efforts adding up over time. Don't demand perfection from yourself right out of the gate. Celebrate every single step forward. Learn from the setbacks without beating yourself up, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Okay, let's try and bring this deep dive into budgeting burnout toward a close. We've definitely seen that budgeting, it's a powerful tool. It can lead to financial freedom, but it's undeniably a journey, and it has real challenges, with burnout being maybe the biggest one.
For sure.
And staying motivated, sticking with it long enough to see results, it really seems to require this dual approach, doesn't it? You need the smart, practical money strategies, the tracking, the realistic planning, the automation, setting clear goals, building those crucial emergency buffers.
All the doing parts.
Right. But just as important, maybe even more important sometimes, is that active, compassionate attention to your own mental and emotional well-being.
That's absolutely right. Recognizing those early warning signs of burnout starting to creep in, understanding how outside stress and our own internal states like anxiety actually impact our financial choices, and then proactively managing our mental health through self-care, mindfulness, getting help when we need it, practicing that self-compassion we talked about. That's just as fundamental to financial success as any spreadsheet or app. It builds the necessary internal foundation to use the tools effectively.
So what's the big takeaway here? For you, the listener, navigating your own financial journey, why does mastering budgeting while also managing stress and being kind to yourself, why does that really matter in the grand scheme?
Well, it matters profoundly because honestly, it's not just about the numbers. It's not just about hitting a certain net worth or having a specific balance in your account. At its heart, it's about gaining this deep sense of control over what is, for many people, a major source of stress and anxiety in life.
Taking back power over your money.
Exactly. It's about significantly reducing that background hum of anxiety. It's about building genuine resilience so you can handle those unexpected curveballs life inevitably throws without completely derailing. And it's about creating a stable, secure financial foundation that actually supports a healthier, more fulfilling life overall. It really comes down to making intentional choices with your money so that your money serves your life, your values, your goals, instead of letting money worries control or dictate how you live.
That's a powerful reframing. So maybe a final thought to leave everyone with. In a world that, let's face it, often feels unpredictable, overwhelming, maybe even out of our personal control, could taking these deliberate, mindful steps to gain control over your personal finances, just one intentional action at a time, could that actually be one of the most powerful acts of self-care and maybe even personal empowerment that you can undertake right now?